early on. Now they have to do a transition back to lawful civilian control, which means recognizing Trump as president, the military recognizing, look, Mao said it correctly. Power emanates from the barrel of a gun. That's a pretty harsh statement. I know a bunch of people are rolling over, their eyes are going out of their heads over this, but excuse me, the force of government is the gun. Who's got the biggest gun? Is it even these federal agencies? Or is it, we have guard troops in all of these states and the military itself. In this particular situation, I'm sorry, but the military has the big gun here, seriously. And they will recognize the lawful civilian authority and institute lawful civilian control of the government. So you could have two presidents at the same time, one recognized by the corporation in DC and the Congress and the courts, which at this point are captured operations, a very specific term in the military and intel community. And then a period of time to transition from this lawful military authority, commander-in-chief, the military recognizing the true victor in the election, and then the true victor, President Trump, then making the determinations how to proceed with lawfully taking control, seizing the reins of power out through the rest of the government, which would take a certain period of time. Is this something that's new? No, we had this back at Lincoln and Jefferson Davis. That's why you hear this stuff about the Lincoln period over and over. Will this be a civil war where you have people in states taking up arms against people in other states? My contention is no, not at all. There may be some little pocket here or there. It'll be a fleece fart. Really, it just won't be that big of a deal because the American people, in large measure, in all of the states, recognize who really won this, and this is a foreign operation. We're in a revolution. Remember, the dossier, everything that came against Trump came out of the city of London. That's where the FBI people, Page and Stroke and everybody over there doing it. Halper, that piece of shit, lying asshole, traitorous person with dual passport, U.S. and British. He's the one that engineered a lot of this bullshit over the Russian thing and tried to do all this scam and take out Flynn and things like that. All of those things occurred on foreign shores. The cook on the Dominion vote system occurred from foreign shores.
Exactly. The British role I documented in my book, New World Order, specifically New World Order, that language was British Empire. Literally, when Cecil Rhodes and Rothschild was his benefactor, right, when he died, and he said he wants to reincorporate America in his will, right? This was the agenda of the British, right? Since the revolution, the Civil War, when the British backed the South, they've been working to reincorporate America. So that conspiracy is very much why the Bush family's lineage goes to the Queen of England, and all the blue bloods of the Northeast many of them are Anglophiles, right? Their special relationship with England, all this bullshit that people have just born thinking that we're supposed to have a special relationship with England, even though we seceded from their empire. We said no to the empire. We're supposed to be an independent country, and yet ever since World War I, we've been their closest allies, financial partners. J.P. Morgan started as a British bank, and a lot of money came out of City of London to finance the Rockefellers and all the original tycoons in oil and railroads. So it's just a fascinating history there. But again, in terms of where I wanted, before we go to that, I wanted to ask you just why this month? Why do you think things are heating up now? Because a lot of people are saying that they don't necessarily see anything externally speaking. We don't see what's happening. Why would the military act at this point in time?
Well, because the military, as long as there was a question that the courts or the Congress could protect the contract with the American people, the Constitution, The military had no need to act as long as Trump was still in the presidency after the election. There was no need to act. When the Director of National Intelligence provided his report on election interference on the 19th of January, 1 month late, by the way, when he finally provided his report the day before President Trump was to step down, it showed that there was foreign interference in the election, sufficient to overturn the outcome of the election. So, did the courts do anything to protect the American people by forcing some type of pause or re-examination of the way that the vote was calculated or was being enforced? No, the courts didn't protect. Congress didn't protect. So up until the moment that Biden was sworn, the military really was in a pause moment. They, could put on the illusion of, well, we'll hand stuff over, whatever, but they weren't under the obligation to. At the moment that then the reins of power, President Trump did step down from office. Biden was sworn in. At that moment, the military had an obligation to then, as the last line of defense, the last safety, the military had to do an assessment. The information about foreign interference was real. The military did a comparative analysis of its own sources. It's my contention that they validated, verified, vetted all of that information and determined that President Trump had in fact won, and that a digital attack on America, as real as missiles and bombs and spies and all sorts of other things, a digital attack occurred. It changed the outcome of the election. And now the military had to act. So then, first off, they don't just go off half-cocked. They have to first protect the American people, protect the Constitution, the contract with the government. But first, they have to protect them physically. We have this whole COVID thing. There's, potential attack. President Trump, before he left office, moved 3 carrier task forces off the West Coast. If you go down there, anywhere, Los Angeles to San Diego, all the way up north to San Francisco, you go just stand on the beach and look and tell me what you see. It's a picket line of ships. A carrier task force is made up of 100 ships that do all types of support and protection, submarines, everything. It's a huge group of ships. We have 3 of them off the West Coast right now. What's the reason? To make sure that anybody that thinks we're vulnerable has to think again, because we're in a protective, defensive stance, and we're not letting anybody come in and do anything. Same thing on the East Coast. We have 2 aircraft carrier task forces, 100 ships each, off the East Coast. We have a carrier task force off the coast of China, and that task force off the coast of India. And so also 100 ships each, approximately. We're doing this in order to make sure that everybody understands, while we may have a pause moment in America here, we may have some drama going on, from the military standpoint, we're not, taking any bullshit. Cheyenne Mountain is still closed up tighter than drum, has been since last spring, which is command and control, as well as other similar facilities. And they have not been opened up to observers and assistants from the Biden administration. The Biden administration has not been recognized as the lawful authority over the military at this point in time. Whatever's being done is just for show for the moment. And then the next phase will begin, and that is to get lawful civilian control over the military and then out into the government. The lawful civilian authority, the lawful president, will then direct the military to do what needs to be done to recapture these other locations and reinstitute lawful authority. When it comes to the money, the interaction even out into other countries, that's going to take a while to work through. And there is vulnerabilities, there is dramas there. So will it be instantaneous? No. We got lots of work ahead of us out over the weeks and months and years ahead. And all of that time, you still have to have the American people able to function, to do exchanges, to, do business. The dollar isn't going to zero, and their digital currency frauds aren't going to take control of us. We still have to work in a world where they have their digital currency stuff. So there's some back and forth that's going to happen. People want to look at the various digital currencies. They're mined on computers. Who has the most computers? Who has the computers that are a few generations beyond where the rest of the public is? What's the rest of the scam? You have black hats in positions in these various entities and agencies that are controlling those tools. We're going to have to re-seize power even inside of our own agencies. CIA is the one that was behind a lot of the mischief, along with MI6 and other intelligence agencies related to the Dominion vote system. That's a fact. Let it play out. You're going to see it. And a lot of people are going to have to be clipped there. It's the same thing in the monetary system. We have some people that were playing there. It's going to be a son of a gun. But the cure can't be worse than the disease. So, I probably went off a little bit, but I'm just trying to get that into people's mind. We have to have some momentum maintained in the country, open things up, have meetings of exchange, share our labors one to another. One guy does the restaurant, the other guy does car repair. We have to make it work. Some of the controls, IRS and other stuff, have got to be knifed and killed, but there still has to be mediums of exchange, some banking function, and a transitional period to a new era. At the end of everything, we still have to have energy flowing, and not somebody else's energy from right here in the country. So, Rome wasn't built in a day. All these mechanisms didn't get in place in a day. There's going to be a lot of work to get the country back on a correct, even keel, moving to the future and extracting these tentacles of control that permeate all of American life and structure without killing us. And
Great Reset.
Sensitive work.
Exactly. It's time to counter the Great Reset with our version, Redux or something, the Jubilee, the revitalization of the Constitution. I think that's very much the American Renaissance. I think it's time for a Renaissance.
Yep.
The Great Reset.
Yep.
How about that?
Yep. So people that think that they know exactly how that has to happen, a lot of times their perceptions are pretty, I would say, juvenile. There's some serious conversations, and really smart guys have looked at this. They have a lot of different ideas. There's a lot of conversation that has to be had. There's a lot at stake, and we certainly don't want to end up with new emperors just because we missed something simple and they've snuck in a little sneaker here and there. It's dicey work. It's like going after these children in slavery, these people that have been human trafficked. In going to get them out, is your maneuver to go save them going to cost them their lives? You have a hostage situation. Sometimes you have to hold, as hard as it is, and wait for the right moment, not just go in barreling in. It's like Waco. They're going to go save the children. That was the whole point. The kids are the victims, whatever, and they go kill them. Oh, that saved them. Go burn the place down. Yeah, that was genius.
Exactly.
If that was even what it was all about. We all agree there's some horrible things that are going on. The country's at great risk. There's a need for prayer, and there's going to have to be divine assistance, because some of these things are so convoluted, so screwed up, that short of divine intervention, it's outside the mind of man to come up with truly some of the correct solutions and some of what has to be done here, because it is that screwed up. And you don't want to be naive in just racing in as though you know exactly what to do and blah, blah, blah. And, you're going to have a bunch of know-it-alls that think they know what they're talking about, don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about. And I don't want to be at those people's mercy either.
Very well put.